I hereby open this meeting of the Tyngsborough Conservation Commission under the State Wetland Protection Act, Mass General Law, C-131, S-40, in accordance with the Town of Tyngsborough Wetland Protection Bylaw on this day, May 14, 2024. First item on the agenda, 7 Roy Ave, map 26, parcel 151-0, DEP number 3091013, Peter St. Gelais, applicant for after-the-fact notice of intent to permit existing boardwalk and floating dock that includes raising the boardwalk above the 100-year floodplain elevation, continued from April 23rd, 2024.
Hi.
I just want to bring the board up, because a lot of these members weren't present on the beginning of this. So this was administratively approved, not commission approved. There was a mistake. It doesn't matter what party, it's still doing the after effect. NOI has to be brought up to performance standards. All right, if this is something, because it goes through common land, we would have never approved it. But that's beside the point right at the moment.
Or it's after the fact.
What's that?
It's after the fact.
It's after effect NOI, but it still has to meet performance standards for us to approve it. Good evening.
Hi, Maureen Harold, Norse Environmental Services. Here with me tonight is Peter St. Gelais. He's the homeowner. So as the chairman mentioned, it was mistakenly approved through an administrative process through the town. After that had happened, Mr. St. Gelais installed the boardwalk through the wetland as well as a dock. So the last time I was here, the commission decided they wanted SWCA to review the NOI filing. They provided quite an extensive review, and I provided a response to the commission with associated paperwork. I can go through that response if the commission wants. It's a pretty lengthy review. But the short of it is they wanted some data forms that was provided. They wanted the notice of intent updated on 2 or 3 pages. I provided that information as well. They had suggested changes to the plan, and I have some colored plans here. The problem with that is that Mr. Aho has retired. So in terms of providing any additional detail or changes to the plan, Mr. St. Gelais would probably have to start over, hire another surveyor to provide those changes if that's what the commission would like to see. But a lot of the requests that were made were, I think there were more details. Add the buffer zone, add some dimensions, that kind of stuff. But I can pass out the plan that I do have. Pam's out.
Thank you.
Take one.
Yeah. This is colored. Oh, okay.
So that's the plan. That was the original plan submitted with the notice of intent. So I know it was discussed at the last hearing. I believe the commission wanted or suggested that the boardwalk be raised a foot above the floodplain, the 100-year floodplain. So the 100-year floodplain is shown on the lower right-hand corner at 154.5, and the top of the boardwalk is 153.9. After speaking with Mr. St. Gelais about possibly raising the floodplain, we run into a number of issues. The boardwalk itself is approximately 3 feet high off the wetland floor, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Where is it 3 feet high off? Maybe at the end of the lake, but not in the beginning.
It's random throughout the length of the boardwalk. So there's some areas that are lower, and then there's some areas that are deeper than
Still has
that.
to be above the floodplain. So, before we get too far, guys, part of the common land problem, and I know this very well because For 40-something years, I've had deeded rights to common land, to the same lake. You're not allowed to do nothing. I'm not against keeping the dock, but you're not allowed to do nothing. This opens up Pandora box for my neighborhood, every other neighborhood, because now they're gonna feel entitled, that they should get it too. All right, that's one of our issues besides the floodplain. You're not, common land, that's why I discussed the order of conditions we'd like about the common land if this gets approved. It's to protect everybody. Is to protect us down the road because we don't need the headaches
Right.
down the road on the whole lake doing this. It's nothing against the St. Gelais, you know, because like I said, I've owned my house since 1980 or 81. I have deeded rights to that lake before I bought property on that lake. So I know very well about what can and cannot be done on that common land. And there's nothing allowed. You can use it, you can use it for lake access. Can't build on it, you can't leave stuff on it, you know, I know that everybody signed off on the NOI. That's why, you know, there was some just order conditions down the road. If it doesn't get used is why we're putting in the order conditions for that part. To protect the wetlands, protect the lake, protect the town, and protect the other owners of the common land for who's responsible for the cleanup and everything else of it. That's nothing against attacking the St. Gelais or anything like that. It would, you know, that would be, we would impose that on anybody that would have done this down the road. Because like I said, you know, for 40 years, I've only been able to walk to the lake or to ride my snowmobile through the property or ride my quad in the winter through the property, to the lake, or fish off that. I know very well, we all have boats. We all would have wanted to have a dock. So, you know, I'm just explaining to the rest of the board that hasn't dealt with common land, that they know what it's about.
Right, and as the chairman had mentioned, so after Mr. St. Gelais constructed the boardwalk, that was one of the first things that we looked at, was the common land. Who's owns part of this common land? And can we get permission from those other homeowners? And we do, we have permission from the other homeowners. They signed the application for the boardwalk itself. That gives them the right to use the boardwalk as well, because it is on common land. We're not proposing any other additional structures or any other work on this. It's essentially to provide access to a dock on the lake. That's what we'd like to keep if it is possible. In the material I sent, Mr. St. Gelais put together a fabulous boardwalk document that really notes and highlights the materials that he used. Everything is recycled timbers, so there's no chemical discharges. Originally, he had the Trex type decking, thank you, on the boardwalk. That has since been replaced with it's the Sure Step decking where it's perforated, it allows sunlight through, it allows water through if the water even gets high enough underneath the decking. And I'm just gonna ask Mr. St. Gelais, with all the rain the past 2 years, was the boardwalk underwater at all?
It never got to the frame of the deck
Okay,
of the actual boardwalk, and it never raised to that height. So it's at least it's 8 inches above.
I sent you the pictures of mine. Mine was underwater last summer.
okay,
All right, and mine was above the normal water that we had. My dock was underwater last summer. I sent you the pictures before the last meeting,
you did,
and that was only just to show you that the height of it was, that it was at that present time, and it was underwater during the summer,
okay,
you know, over the top of it. And the flow-through decking, I have the same exact decking. It does, not that it's gonna inhibit growing underneath, but it does shade it. So it does let sunlight through, but it does shade it too. Because otherwise the fish wouldn't be under my dock, you know, because it's protection.
okay.
So back to the Maureen's question, it went to the base. I should just look at a picture.
Yes,
Of
if
the
you look at the bottom of one of the pictures of the frame, it never even made it to these, the 6x6 recycled posts.
So I guess,
So that would be at least 6, 12, 13 inches above. That's how much higher it is off the ground than.
so on this bottom picture
Yeah,
here.
okay, yeah, that's what I thought, that's what you were describing.
Mine was 18 inches off the water when I put it in last spring.
Yeah,
Right, and the water was over the dock last summer with the rain we
Yeah.
had.
the dock part of it is floating, so
Right.
it doesn't submerge at
Oh, but
all.
I'm
And there's a
it's-
gangway to it that reduces down and floats with the water level
Mine
as the
doesn't
water goes
float,
up.
mine's on poles, mine's FWN, just like yours. Is, you know, I'm just stating what my dock was during the season last year. To the point that the police boat, I had to put boards out from the shore so they could get to the police boat because it was underwater. My dock, so they could use the police boat. So, I know very well how high the lake was last year.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question about updating the plan. If the plan does not get updated, what's to stop anyone from adding more sections of Easy Dock
It is, because.
later
I-
on down the line, subsequent owners of the property? If the plan doesn't get updated to document the exact dimensions of what's in
Well, that's the
place,
problem, that's why I'm supposed to sign them, but if it ain't updated, I really can't sign it if it's not up to, performance standards, and if he brings it up to performance standards and it's not updated on the plan, I can't sign it. That's the reason why we sign it, is because we've had too many problems with as-built. We started signing them, what, 2 years ago now? Every plan that goes through, I sign it after it's approved.
I get to Jason's point,
They
To-
can add to it, but, you know, I mean.
well, what I'm thinking is instead of, because the details would be minimum
Right.
in like an engineering standpoint.
Right.
So to Jason's point, maybe adding just the length, the current width, and then the height of the dock, just like smaller dimensions that you could easily just draw on the plan. 'Cause it's not quite, like, you don't need an engineer to.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't, it's smaller dimensions of a boardwalk, so.
Right.
Right, and just to follow up with Emily, the boardwalk in the dock itself is accurately depicted as to what's out there right now. It's just that SWCA wanted additional details, like dimensions on the
call-outs and
plan.
dimensions?
Right, so I just want the commission to know that what's out there now is accurately
So,
depicted.
to scale, the shape of the dock is there.
Correct, and the boardwalk as well.
That is correct. Yep.
Understanding that Mr. Aho is retired, has anyone contacted him or tried to
Yes.
contact him?
I have contacted him. Mr. Aho is, gosh, I think he's in his late 70s, mid to late 70s. I asked him if he would make any changes, and he said no.
I know that some states have a documents retention and transfer requirements for certain licenses, engineers, architects, stuff like that. I'm wondering if the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has requirements for an engineer or a surveyor to transfer plans in the event that things have to change later on down the road. I mean, municipal projects or any sort of project that may require revision of plans. I can't see how someone retiring creates a get-out-of-jail-free card scenario. There has to be a way to update a plan.
Reevaluate that
Sure.
plan, absolutely. It just doesn't go away.
I mean, I know Mr. St. Gelais, you know, obviously I hired Mr. Aho to create this plan,
Yeah?
We can certainly add dimensions to the plan, Mr. St. Gelais, but in terms of Mr. Aho revising the plan, put in a revision date, he was not interested in that.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna go back and start where Ed left off.
Okay.
This never would have been approved at this board, first and foremost, correct, Ed?
Right.
You brought forward.
But, not to interrupt you, but if it's brought up to performance standards,
Well, but you mentioned that we could be setting a precedent
We-
of other people coming forward and doing the same thing.
I know that.
Okay, so I'm very worried about how this happened. It's not on him, I understand that. This is on a director that made a major mistake in the town of Tyngsborough.
But- Not to interrupt you again, but if the board had made the mistake, we would still have to, if it was.
But we didn't.
I know, but I'm
Okay,
just
so,
saying. we
and
would have to
that's where
still
I'm
do-
going with, where I'm
Yeah.
going with this. It never came in front of us, Maureen.
I
This
understand.
was totally approved for some unknown reason. Why it was done, I can't answer that. But knowing the rule, this wouldn't have happened here. And I'm looking at this, and I'm actually, Ed Smith and I brought this forward in the beginning. We were out on the lake, and Ed's like, "Goes, look at that dock." I'm like, "What dock?" And I went over and looked and said, "Ed, we didn't approve that. What did the..." And then all of a sudden, it's got a DEP number, all this stuff was done behind us. It never even came in front of this board.
But that's because I think somebody hit a button on the computer and administratively approved it. But
The
you're right.
director did. The director that's no longer here,
Right.
which didn't have the right to do that.
I agree with you.
I
And-
know,
I bet Ed,
And
I
that,
know.
that's why I appreciate the commission's patience with it in allowing the after-the-fact notice of intent. You know, Mr. St. Gelais has spent a substantial amount of money putting the boardwalk in, so we appreciate the commission allowing us to come and file the after-the-fact notice of intent and considering this proposal. And hopefully willing to work with
But
us.
so, this is what happens, Maureen. Just say this gets approved. Another party could do the same thing all over again.
No way, not with your eyes on the
Well-
lake, and I'm sure this administratively wouldn't happen again.
Well, I'm not liking this. I've seen the boardwalk in the beginning. I saw all the vegetation chopped down. I saw it all thrown to one side, wasn't even cleaned out.
So, go ahead,
It,
sorry, Pat.
it bothered me that,
I think you were actually walked it with me.
I did,
And
yeah.
you showed me the areas of what we had the vegetation down, you told us to burn it.
I said, no, this
And you
shouldn't
said,
happen.
And I think I can quote you, Jim, sir.
Don't
You-
quote me.
Okay, won't quote you.
Okay,
You
no.
did say it was done to a very good standard, and I
But
tried to do it the right way.
You left the vegetation
on-
there, wasn't cleaned out. It was left, cut down and left. I didn't like seeing any of that. But
is-
that's not my decision.
Okay.
It needed to come in front of the board, which it never did. And now it's here and we're trying to correct it, but I don't want to set a precedent on this board saying that, yeah, let's approve this. I understand he has spent a ton of money. I said that in the beginning when Ed Smith and I looked at it. I'm like, wow, this is incredible.
But the town already approved it, and not the commission.
Not the
but
commission, the town
but-
doesn't make this ruling. We had a director go behind our backs, is what I'm gonna say. And you can quote me on that, because this is not the only time she had done this. And now it's sitting in our lap, trying to correct a mistake that I believe could happen again down the road. Not by me sitting on the board, but it could. And I don't want people to come back and say, well, I wanted to put a dock in and I couldn't, and you're allowing this. No, I don't want to see that. I definitely don't want to see that. We have rules. When the rules are not abided by, we have havoc. People do what they want. when they want and how they want, until they get caught. They get caught and they come in and say, I'm sorry. Please help me. It's too late. To me, it's too late. Next.
I have a question for you. You say you have 25 sections of 4x12 aluminum frame, correct? That's what the estimate says. It's wooden on the pictures.
No, that's that's part of the floating dock out there.
That's not 25 sections.
The 25 sections is out of wood.
Yeah, well, it says 4x12 aluminum frame with flow-through docking, $37,000. It's a wooden frame with flow-through decking on top. It's not an aluminum frame decking,
Correct.
all right? So you don't have 25 sections
We do have 25 sections that are
of
framed.
wood
out of
frame, not aluminum.
Not
So
sure.
this estimate is not right. I'm not
So
being a
we-
stickler, but
No, okay.
you have a wooden frame.
I have document of a wooden.
You have wooden frames all the way down for the pitches, right?
Correct, and it
The
is
only
wood
place you
frame.
have aluminum frame is out by the dock area.
It's plastic out in the dock.
It's,
All the dock is plastic.
Did you,
right, I know the dock is plastic. I said the boardwalk to the dock area. All right, so this is plastic right here?
Correct. That entire
So you
part.
have no aluminum frame dock then, no aluminum frame boardwalk.
There was multiple quotes that I had sent over.
That's post, that's not aluminum frame.
The posts, correct. And the brackets are metal. The decking
Right, but
is
that's
frame.
not an aluminum frame FWM dock, so I'm not being a jerk, but you can't put that on the estimate of the cost of what it's cost you for $37,000 if it's not aluminum frame. I have the same exact dock. You have the flow-through surface, and you have aluminum poles, but it's not aluminum frame dock, so you can't say that it costs you $37,000 for the dock frames.
I might have put the wrong quote in it. I can certainly get you the right one.
I'm just
if
saying,
That's a mistake. That's
I'm
my
not-
mistake. He sent
This
me
is-
multiple quotes.
We've got
This
it.
is evidence that, this is part of our documents that we have to declare,
2021?
so,
Correct.
all right? I'm
I
not-
can
So we got-
verify and
we
get you the
can't-
right
we can't-
paperwork.
We can't put this in the plan when it's false, is all I'm getting at. All right, we have to protect ourselves,
Right.
all right? That's why I'm asking, and that's why the picture show wooden frame. I'm not being a stickler on it, I'm not being a jerk.
Yep.
But I'm not, again, I'm not gonna sign a plan with my signature when the information's wrong.
There is an email with the correct quoting, and I can resend
Okay,
that
I'm
to you.
just saying, I'm
And we
not,
can attach
all
it.
right?
Absolutely.
I'm not sticking my signature on that if this is wrong. It's illegal, for one, for
I'm
me
not
to do it.
disagreeing.
All right, so I'm not gonna do it. I'm not being a jerk, I'm being very honest about it. My only concern is to raise it above the floodplain. If we allow you to keep it, it has to be above the floodplain. That's my major concern. Because there's a beaver hut, when you face your dock from the lake, there's a new beaver hut right to the left. The beaver cannot go underneath that boardwalk.
I have photos of them going under it. I have
You have
photos
photos of
on
them,
it.
but they can't bring the branches to their feed pile underneath there. I'm very versed on beavers.
Yep, me too, and they're over there, absolutely.
But we don't want them to bring the branches
No,
underneath the
but you're
boardwalk.
obstructing the flow of the animals. All right, that's part of it. We have one other issue in town. We're already dealing with flooding because of something similar,
Okay,
all right? I'm just stating so the board knows that there's a beaver lodge here that wasn't there 2 years ago. It was in the bank on the right side 2 years ago. Now you have a lodge on the left side. If you're facing,
correct,
you're
yes,
facing the dock,
I agree with you.
looking at your house.
Yep.
I'm just putting it there for the record, so everybody knows. You have any questions, comments?
No, I've gone through all of this. I really haven't been able to. Things that I'm looking for in particular is just a full, from my end, I can get all the information here, just a full summation of what performance standards are we adhering to. I did have one question for you, Maureen.
Sure.
God, can I find it? It's in the project narrative on their comments on that, on page 3 in here. And basically, your response is the bordering land subject to flooding extends from the wetland and not through the wetland, thereby limiting the impact to the BVW resource area. In other words, the bordering land, BLSF and the BVW overlap. The impact is to the wetland, not to the bordering land subject to flooding.
That's correct. So that's under the Wetland Protection Act. Obviously doesn't pertain to your wetland regulations or your bylaws per se. But under the Wetland Protection Act, that's how they review it. Which is interesting because it seems quite backwards to me. But I've run into this previously on another project for like a limited project roadway crossing, where the roadway went through, wetland and floodplain. But when you have that type of scenario in overlapping resource areas under the Wetland Protection Act, they just count the BVW alteration. And that's essentially what SWCA was saying as part of their comment number 7.
So then, is the performance standards not applicable for the bordering land subject of flooding?
Under the Wetland Protection Act, that is correct. But again, you have your own wetland bylaws and regulations.
Yep.
I guess my biggest concern would also be just getting it above the floodplain. I know that it's not necessarily under DEP's performance standards, but I remember you reached out to Alicia Galen about trying to reference boardwalk performance standards and how, because there's not really mentioned anything in the Wetlands Protection Act itself, but they usually go with what Army Corps of Engineers says, and it's usually whatever wide has to be whatever tall. And I remember back in the beginning, we talked about that, and you guys said that would be a lot, because then we would probably have to put railings, which is understandable, because how wide is
It's 4 feet wide.
4 feet wide, so then it would have to be 4 feet tall. So then I know we came to came to a middle ground, saying that instead of putting 4 feet tall, that it would just have to be 1 foot above the floodplain, which what does it sit at right now, elevation-wise?
So the top,
39, so it's below the floodplain.
right.
So it would have to be like roughly a foot above the floodplain.
On that.
But why a foot above, and I'm just asking, why a foot above the floodplain? Why couldn't we do it if the floodplain's 154.5? Why couldn't we have it
Because
at 155?
it's a permanent walkway, it's not a removable dock. The dock part is removable, but the walkway's not.
Right.
So that's why I feel it should be above the floodplain, above the freezing. Anything else, we've been very lucky on the last 6 winters of hardly any ice on that lake. But when the ice comes up, when it starts shifting, it goes 20 feet up my property,
Okay.
all right? So,
So I guess it would just be
and pylons are not allowed. It's sitting on cross members. It's not allowed. Without previous, you'd have to have it all spec'd out and everything else, basically. It's not allowed in most of your trail systems now. Has to be on post. Any of the old boardwalks like that or existing boardwalks or someone stuck in on their own property. But, again, this is common land. You have rights to it, but it's not your property.
I hear what you're saying, but it's so frustrating to me because I go through town trails, I go through state
They're all
trails,
pre-existing.
and they don't look anything remotely well-constructed.
If you go on a wildlife
as-
refuge, they're all above the ground. Go walk Great Meadows. All right, Great Meadows is a perfect spot. I grew up in Barica.
Okay,
Go walk it. Go walk down the very end, go into, well, you can't go in where the barn is.
Tyngsborough, right behind the Sherburne lumber,
That's not, that's private. And besides,
all the conservation.
that's conservation, and that got put in way before, without any approval. That's been put in a long time without any approval.
But let me ask you this, because Lake Muscatpick is dam controlled, right? So once it reaches a certain elevation,
It's not really dam controlled. There is a dam on it, but the other culvert that goes through Sherburne Lumber is like a 6-foot pipe or 8-foot pipe.
Yeah.
The only thing, the reason it keeps the water in the Bull Run is the beavers. All right, there is a dam, there is a small, you got two exits out of that. One goes through Sherburne Lumber, and the other one goes beside Sherburne Lumber to
Right.
Sherburne property. All right, and the dam you're talking about is this big. Because I go in it and clean the culvert out.
but wouldn't the lake reach a certain height and then it would flow through either the culvert or?
It would flow over the road if it iced up,
Okay,
or the beavers plug it. That's why, I hate to say it, I spend more time down there than I really like to keep it flowing.
I know exactly.
okay.
I guess back to my point, and kind of trailed off, but, I know what Alicia said is usually what DEP follows, and then I recently talked to her about another project that has nothing to do with this one, but she was saying that this happened to her a while back when she was the, agent in Ipswich, that even if it was a mistake that happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and it wasn't necessarily me, but it was another administrative mistake, that really what DEP is looking for is just to still bring it up to performance standards so it is compliant with the Wetlands Protection Act. So even if it was a pre-approved given project, that they still will they still want to make sure that if we do move forward with it and approve it, that it is meeting the performance standards.
And that's not just,
And
that's not just us, that's not just the wetland progression. This is also if you go to pull a permit for electricity, right? And you change something, you have to bring the entire box up to current standards.
Yes, the entire house, too.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
put an addition on.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, we're asking you to bring it up to what we'd appreciate to keep it. All right? When we asked you to remove the boards, you went and put full-through decking on. That ain't what we asked you. That wasn't in the enforcement order. We asked you to remove every two and keep one. You did what you wanted. We specifically asked you to remove every two, and then you went out and put the flow-through decking on, which is better than solid decking, but it's not what we asked on the enforcement order. So you haven't really complied at all. I'd rather see you keep it and make it performance standards. It's better in the long run for all of us. But if you don't want to and the board tells you to remove it, you're not gonna be any happier than you are now. Raising the boardwalk is not that hard. It's some work, but with 2 high lift jacks on each end, lifting it, put the poles in and work your way down, you can do it. If you guys put the dock in, the boardwalk in with no problem, you can put that in with no problem.
So you want the timbers completely gone
They're
underneath the boardwalk?
supposed to be gone, you're not supposed to have them.
I know, but it's a long boardwalk and it
It's a
obviously
long
helps
boardwalk, and
stabilizes
it's a recycled
it.
material, and over time, Trex delaminates. Trex dissolves. It's sitting on a wet surface in water. It's, whatever it is, it's plastic. It's not proven to work. You can't put PT in the water. You can't put PT in there. So another reason why I would like to see poles,
Okay,
all right?
And that's technically besides the point, that is like Army Corps standards, like it's supposed to be on pilings or posts, like no matter if you're in the coastal, if you're in inland, like that's how a boardwalk or a dock or a pier, that's what we see when you go to the coast, they're on the pilings or they're on posts. So I feel, I get it, but also at the same time, I want it to be the longevity to last for you guys. Like, if we're gonna approve it, I want it to be a working boardwalk, so you don't have to come back in 10 years and have to replace sections of it or whatsoever, because, say, the wood starts to rot on the bottom, or stuff gets shifted out of place.
Or the beavers chew on it because they want to. Go to Essex County, walk the Ipswich trails, all the new ones. They're all on poles. I took the classes for that to learn about trail systems.
Yeah.
Just watch, go, you know, I'm not telling you to do this because I want you to do it, you know what I'm saying, or, because I have an agenda. We want it to meet performance standards like it's supposed to be, and for you to keep it. It's
Okay.
as simple as that.
And that's why we kind of went with and like, back to my point is, the reason I asked for just the 1 foot above the floodplain, just because if we did have a rough winter, or if we did have a heavy rain, that if it was to flood, because it could happen, if that area was to flood, that you could still actually use the boardwalk and not have to worry about it being basically underwater, which then ruins over time, and I'm not saying we get a ton of floods, but over time, it would really ruin the boardwalk, or like Ed said, in the wintertime, if the ice were to shift it and everything, having it just higher up above it would, in the long run, protect it more. But that's just,
Okay, so I think the entire commission feels this way, moving forward. So,
The thing I'm not sure about is I still think, I'm leaning a little towards what Pat is, and I understand it's not your fault, but I'm still more leaning towards taking it out. But if they're not gonna take it out and the committee votes this way, I want a full list of everything that's not compliant, and I don't want any discussions. I'm not voting for any variances going forward in this project whatsoever. It either goes a fully 100% standard, every little dot and T crossed, or I'm voting against it.
okay. Well, thank you for being candid. I appreciate that. Okay, so I need to discuss this with my client, because he has two options. He either needs to raise it a foot above the floodplain as suggested, or he needs to take it out.
I prefer to, you know, if he,
Well, he also has to put the wood,
Yeah,
make
there's
the
more
wood
than,
poles. There's more than that one issue.
yeah, well, raising it
more
with the
than one
poles.
issue here.
I know we have the common land issue, but if everybody can use it and everybody sign off,
they already
Yeah,
did.
that's
already
enough
did.
up to
I mean,
us.
it doesn't help us down the road for that, but they've already,
The common land users
residents
have
have all-
agreed.
agreed to.
Right
to
now.
u- Yeah, but that's why I wrote,
Whatever inside.
that's why our order conditions will state, because again, a new neighbor moves in if you don't get along.
You're right.
That's why you have to have a certain order of conditions
Should
on,
it be put on the deed, on all the houses?
it'll be on the plan, well, which will be attached to the deed.
Right.
All right, it just, we're just trying to protect ourselves for the common land, so you get along with your neighbors now. Who knows in 10 years, if you get a new neighbor, you get along, or if you're not there or whatever. I'm looking at the future for when there's a different board here or a different director. I want the order and conditions, written on the plan,
Yeah.
on the permit, so that someone can look at it and say, okay, it's right here.
It goes with the deed and with the house.
You know, not, well, I don't know, you know, we got enough of that going on, unfortunately.
You mentioned, would it meet the standards of the Army Corps of Engineers?
If they raised it.
Well,
Well,
but,
I'm just,
so my point being is that when they originally came before us, we got that it had to be however
Yes.
wide, had to be however tall, and we agreed to not necessarily make them do that, but we agreed to do the 1 foot above the floodplain.
okay, so,
So it
bunch of
wouldn't
the
be
emails from the
4
beginning.
feet tall.
right. So we have a lot of agreements that were said in the beginning, haven't been done.
Well, no, because that's why they're
But now
here.
they're back here again, they've hired Maureen. We can't get any more information from the ex-engineer, which it's probably gonna have to get all re-engineered again. But I think if
I don't
that,
know if it has to, I don't, well,
well, Eddie,
Yeah, I
somebody
know.
has to be accountable for this.
if the, I don't know how the board will feel if they write the dock dimensions and everything on it, because it's already in position, but if you write the dimensions and that, and state on the plan that it's 1 foot above the floodplain, and it's,
Because
if you
everything
write
else
the
is
dimensions of the
accurate
dock
on it.
all the way down, because plot plan's accurate, so if you write the dimensions of the dock and state that, you know, it's 1 foot above the floodplain on the plan, and then I sign it if it gets approved.
We sign it, not just you.
Well, I don't- That's our choice.
Okay.
All right?
I know, but
Well, there was always either the commission signs it, all of us, or I sign it. I just been signing it because I'm the only one that goes in and does it, so that's the only reason why. That gets away from,
Back to
doing,
your point.
Yeah,
back to your point, I think that just putting the dimensions would be fine,
right.
because everything else is accurate on the
Everything else is
plot plan.
accurate.
And it wasn't, I mean, he came up with a nice written, drawn-out diagram of everything, and yes, it wasn't technically engineered the first time, but the fact that it is accurate on a plot plan, and then if we add the dimensions, that goes along with the order of conditions. So if somebody were to look back at this in the future, in 25 years, they're gonna see the order of conditions in the plan that was approved with it. And they'll say that the boardwalk is X amount of feet long, X amount of feet wide, X amount of feet tall.
'Cause as far as the lake, you don't know what it's gonna be in 25 years. You don't know the water height of it's gonna be. You don't know where the wetlands will change in 25 years.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes,
I see this plan is stamped by PLS. If we have an enforcement order to change the elevation of the boardwalk, that would have to be noted on here. I don't know, would that have to be re-stamped? I mean, that's more than just adding the dimensions of the existing deck.
yeah, I don't know on that one, that's a,
Well, so the enforcement order was sent out, if I'm correct, September of '22 roughly, and I don't know the exact date. And the most recent revised date is November of '22.
Right, but if we have an enforcement order telling them to raise it a foot above the floodplain, that's not what the PLS stamped on. Right now, it says boardwalk elevation is 153.9 feet.
yeah.
Well, I don't
The
think,
enforcement order
Yeah.
didn't mention the floodplain. The enforcement order said to, correct me if I'm wrong, but to remove the boardwalk.
Yes.
And then I came in front of the commission and said, well, wait a minute. We remove it and then file to put it back in, you're doing twice as much work in a
Yes.
resource area. Would you consider an after-the-fact filing? And the commission agreed to consider that.
that's kind of the
Right, but we-
steps of the events that happened.
And not to be a stickler about it, but we would like a little cooperation back our way on it too. Everything right now is all your way, not to be, not to,
Well, I think we heard tonight from the commission what you want in order for this to get approved.
Yes.
and we'd have to ask town council on that,
Yes.
all right, just to make sure.
Can we ask for a clear
If
direction?
Maureen comes back with a new plan,
iPad.
I want a new engineer stamp
He
on
wants
it,
a
because I want the engineer to back up that new plan. I'm not gonna go by the old engineer who's not here.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not
I don't
gonna
know.
go for that either.
Yeah, I don't know, I can't say on
I've
the,
done projects before in, having controlled job site engineers on the project, signing everything that had gotten done. There had to be a sign-off. The sign-off went to the town and it went to the state. I'm not gonna allow that either. This is not gonna be just a cut and dry deal here. Raise the deck, move on. No. This is gonna get done. If you're gonna sit here and say, I want it to performance standards, you're doing this whole thing over. I want it all done, I won't accept it. No way, this is not fair to this committee, for this to be dumped in front of us when we never approved it. And now we're trying to correct a mistake somebody else made? I'm sorry, it doesn't go. I've been down this road with engineers in the town. 10 years of my life, fighting in court. Absolutely not. I'm not gonna allow this.
anybody else,
It's not fair.
anybody else have any comments? Questions?
Yeah, I think unless bring it up to standards, then I'm with the board.
Okay, we're gonna,
Yeah, so we continue it to the, so do I get a motion to continue it to the 28th?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to continue this hearing until May 28th, 2024.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Nay,
Opposed?
nay.
thank you.
Continue to the 28th. Thank you. Next item on the agenda. 22 Massapog Road, map 2, parcel 32-0, DEP number 3091020, Costa Malapanis, applicant for after-the-fact notice of intent for the construction of a 12-by-12 patio with a 16-by-40 landscape retaining wall and 4 additional granite steps that access the existing beach area. Continued from April 23rd, 2024. Good evening.
Good
State your
evening.
name and address, please.
Costas Malapanis, 222 Massapog Road.
So, you submitted the planting plan.
Yes.
Per our request. It is in your packets. I also have the revised plan from Jeff up here. I forgot to upload the planting plan. If you, just because the planting plan was just on, 8x11, so. And he also included the plants he wanted per your request, quantity, species, et cetera.
So Emily, I missed last time, so we are okay with keeping the patio and stairs and everything.
With the stipulation, so from last meeting, the commission was okay with keeping what was done with the stipulation of including more plants along the property to help it enhance the resource area, which is what he provided us tonight. And then the other stipulation that the commission wanted was to remove a few granite blocks, and I don't know how many off the top of my head, along the bank of Muscuppick that he put in.
Beach area.
So that's just up to speed.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The mulch is just gonna be wood chips, right? It's not just gonna be treated mulch or anything.
It'll be wood chips.
Wood chip.
Natural wood chips, yes, yep.
Yeah, so I printed out the revised plan, and then on the back of what is with all the plants is the actual, his drawings of where the plants are gonna go. So it's within the plant list. But I just printed out the big copy since it might be easier to see. It doesn't, on the original plan, it doesn't show it, but it just as a better reference. Trying to make it easier for you guys.
Were any trees cut?
I'm sorry?
Were any trees cut during?
Yes, yeah, but from the property, yeah, there was trees cut
Okay.
originally.
Did we ask you to plant any trees then?
Yeah, so I
There is some
think he
trees that
had,
be planted, yes.
Sorry, I'm like,
yeah, do you wanna just run through the list of
Yeah.
what species you're proposing to plant?
For the trees,
I guess for all of them.
you know, it was done with somebody that knows more about plantings than I do, so I don't really, a lot of this stuff, I don't even understand what it is, but I asked them for something that's gonna help with erosion and be the best suited for this project.
Okay.
And this is what they put together.
Like in the, so the A's are gray birches,
Yes.
yeah.
you know,
How many
The-
trees were cut?
he's planting 3 there.
Yeah, there was two separate sections that were done. There's a house across, that's more on the roadside. There was a lot of dead trees that were taken down there. It was total 16 trees, but most of them were on that other side. There was some trees taken down on this side, you know, maybe,
I think it was 3.
yeah, maybe, yeah, I was gonna say,
4.
yeah, just 3 or 4, yeah,
And this was done long before
yes,
the
yeah.
what was done.
On this
Okay, so
project.
it
There
wasn't
were-
because of this work?
No.
No,
Okay.
a separate project. Some of the plantings are already in place, so,
Did the board already stipulate how those blocks are being removed in terms of machinery?
We briefly talked about it at the last meeting, but, I don't know if Costas was able to talk to a contractor
I did.
about-
I spoke with the contractor, and his concern was it's gonna cause more damage than, than what's there now. So, and the whole thing is this side of the lake is really getting abused, the shoreline, by these wake boats. So for the last couple of years, there's been some wake boats on the lake, and everybody, my neighbor to the left, my neighbor to the right, they all put in walls. And without it, there was some plantings on the beach. And with these wake boats, there was nothing but the roots. It was just eating away the soil on the beach. So there was granite there already, but a lot lower. And what I did was I raised it so that it stopped the erosion because it was just destroying the shoreline.
So I guess I'm confused now. So you're saying you're not gonna remove the blocks?
No, up to us.
It's up to you, yeah. It's just that, to get it done, the contractor said it's just gonna cause it's gonna cause more destruction to the beach than it is to,
No, it won't. Not if it's done right.
Did he mention how, if this was the avenue you were to go down, did he mention how he would approach to remove them?
he thought maybe of getting the neighbors, and the neighbors are fine with it, but he says he might be able to get a small machine down to get it, and, because it's got, I don't know, there's a reach that it has, and I don't know exactly how much, he says, and we talked about a tree crane, and I asked, I'm the one who mentioned, I said, well, what about a tree crane, and just getting them, lifting them, and, whether we do is just move them aside, because I am gonna try to come and get an approval to put them
Yes.
back again.
Which is what we said you could do.
Right.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to just move them to the side.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to be removed up to by the driveway area.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just place them there because then it just leads to, you putting them back in without asking us.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, this is twice after the fact, so that's why, not being a jerk about it, but,
So you kind of have two different avenues on what the contractor assumed would be the best way to
Yeah.
remove them.
Yeah,
I would rather have the crane.
The crane would be-
The crane would definitely do less damage.
yeah.
Yes, I would
Yeah.
also agree.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the crane would definitely be, and that's what I thought from the beginning. So what you're saying is remove them, put them up on the top?
we're gonna discuss it,
Yeah,
and then we'll decide at the end.
Yeah, I was just bringing Enrica up to speed and
Yeah,
Bruce
okay.
up to
She-
speed,
she
because
missed the
they
meeting.
weren't here at
Okay,
the last
okay.
meeting.
Yeah,
yeah.
my apologies.
No, that's okay, thank you.
So, we'll go around the board. Rob, you have any questions?
I guess my question would be, how did you put in the granite pieces that we're talking about removing? How were they installed?
They're pretty much laid in place, they're pretty heavy.
Yeah, but what's used for equipment?
What do you use for equipment to get it in
A
there?
machine, it was a machine, because the work started from the bottom up. So when we were able to work down at the bottom, that's when it got done, that's when it got put in place. Yeah, it's a pretty big machine, it was, but at that point, we could get the machine to a point where we could actually pick those up and put them in place.
So you feel that that's no longer the case?
No, you can't with all the landscaping that's done there now, yeah.
And to bring the rest of the board up that was not involved in this before, so it was a cease and stop work order on it. He had taken an excavator down and took all the steps down, all the way down the hill, all the way to the beach, and put the beach area and cleared that out, and, I gotta call him. The building inspector, I had to go out there and we had to do a cease and desist.
Yeah,
And made him put up erosion controls because we were having heavy rains the next day, which he did put them up that day. But that whole area was, already once torn out and we approved for one wall down the bottom, or partway down the wall, like an 18-inch high wall, if I remember correctly. But, and to put the steps back in and to leave the sand at the beach area. But then we got the second call for the rest that's been done. Just so, for you guys that weren't involved in any of the first part, so now you know the history of the lot. So you can go, if you got any more questions, Rob, I just wanted to let you know that.
I'm all set, thank you.
Pat, you have any questions or comments?
Well, you know me. Well, the board seems to try to work with this project here, straighten it out. I understand where Rob's coming from, there's no way you're gonna get a machine down there, okay? Where the house is, where they could actually land a crane, I used to be in the crane business.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
you could beside,
You need a big
Yeah, you
crane
gotta go over the house.
no, you can go right where the dumpster used to be
Yeah,
parked.
it'll fit.
pulling on
Yeah.
the left.
On the left, if you're facing the house.
Facing the
on the
house.
left side,
Left
you
side.
can, you can
Okay.
go in
We've had a
there
pretty
and
big crane
you
in
can-
there, yeah.
You can go down there with a crane to lift it.
And I'm just going back to what the board had talked about.
Yeah.
They want it removed until it gets reapproved,
Yeah.
right?
That's what you guys agreed
Ed?
on last
What they're
time.
talking about.
That's what was brought up at the last meeting.
Removed from the shoreline.
Yes.
And put up
Come back.
top.
Put up top.
So, I mean,
Then he has to
Mr.
get,
Malapana, he could stage these in his driveway or something.
yeah,
Yes.
and then he gets a reapproval for
Sure.
putting them back in. But that's what the board was,
There's no
Right, then it-
commitment on our part to approve that at this stage.
No,
right?
yeah.
There
Well, it
will
would-
be.
The board agreed it would be part of a condition of this project. It would be basically a stipulation that they would have that the last time the board agreed that the granite blocks would have to be removed before the continuation of the rest of the project.
It doesn't mean that
Right,
the
there's
board
no-
is gonna approve it again on the ground.
Not necessarily, no, but it would get approved through the state the correct way. Like, he would file a notice of intent for it, it would go through DEP, it would get reviewed, just like any other project.
not unless DEP sent it back to us, which could happen.
Yes, they could
Yeah, but-
issue comments on it.
They could-
Right, send
right.
comments, but then they can come back and say, we want Tyngsborough Commission to handle this. It's happened.
So
No,
like,
So if we remove, if our order conditions, if we state for him to remove them before
Yeah.
any more work is performed, that's our order of conditions. That has nothing to do with the DEP. The NOI, the third NOI will be if he wants to put them back in. It'll have nothing to do with this NOI at all, except for removal of it, if that's what,
For removal.
if that's what we want. That we will not, he'll have to do a whole separate permitting process to put them back in.
I just get it how, I moved in this town 14 years ago, and I have wetland. I knew right when I bought my house, so that's protected. And anything that I needed to do, I must have pulled like 5 permits, 14 years.
it's a bad side of the lake for some reason. The neighbor aside of me, I think she used 8-foot sections, 2-foot blocks. I think she probably put in, I don't know, 8 or 10 of them. She had a machine on the shore, when they drained down the lake, so a machine came in, put those all in place. And I don't blame her, because the erosion right now is just terrible. I mean, if
So
they
my
stop
point
those
is, I'm like,
boats,
you know then that's a
It's-
wetland. Anything that you do is protect the land.
yeah,
There is a conservation committee.
yeah.
But that's what you put on your permit
Yeah.
for the next time, not this time. So I have no wall on my lake property,
Yeah,
all right? So I know what the waves and the boat, and my lake is way busier than yours because my lake is not shut off during the summer. All right? We have a public parking ramp. So, I mean, you can state the reasons why you want
Yes,
to put it
yeah.
back in.
yeah, yeah. Well, if the ones to the right and to the left of me got approved, this one's a lot smaller.
That's neither here or there. This is the second time after the fact NOI, and this is what we're here to discuss. All right, we're not, doesn't matter who did what. All right, that whole area's been nothing but a headache, unfortunately. But we're sticking to
What are
the
we doing?
subject.
Take it out?
Jeff, do you have any questions?
No, but I do have a difficult time seeing how all of this is gonna be removed and not create a worse problem.
If the-
I would, if the board is going to see this, I want a very well-defined plan, exactly how this is going to be done, and an explanation how it's not going to make things worse in the interim. And I just don't see how it can be done.
If he does it with a crane, he can reach down far enough, and if they use the right straps, they can just fish them around the granite.
Yep.
And pick them up that way, one by one, and then just bring them up and set them up where he wants up top, without disturbing it.
Yeah.
If he goes down there with an excavator, he has to get closer. The crane can reach right down and pick it straight up and retract in, move it, and go
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
So I mean, he can do it without disturbing the bank. But originally, I mean, he disturbed the bank when he put the first beach in.
Well, I would
We
have
allow-
to say, I'd have to say that the wake boats disturbed the beach more than I did. Ed, you didn't see the damage. And I know when I remove these, there's gonna be a lot of damage. But that's okay, I can fix it. It's okay, so.
No, I can't,
No, you know what I'll do is I'm gonna film it sometime and I can send it over. Because it's pretty bad.
I watch it every day, every time I'm down the lake,
Yeah.
I understand what it is. But that can, if we want it removed, you would have to stipulate that on your third NOI,
Yeah, that's,
all right?
yeah.
If we allow it to stay, then we allow it to stay. It's the
Mm-hmm.
board's decision. But
So,
it can be removed without fully disturbing it.
trying to
To a
keep that,
point,
Not convinced.
Yeah, I think with Jeff, what I'm getting from what he's saying, it's after they're removed, what's going to
Well,
happen.
there was chunks,
right?
there was chunks of rocks and
Yeah.
granite there. It wasn't a wall. It was just stuff laid there.
But that's all gone in.
Yeah, I know.
Everything's been pulled out of there.
no,
This is
no,
your-
no, the old ones are there.
The old ones are there. He
The
said
old
he
ones
put
are
it on
there.
top
I
of it.
just set a couple more on top because of the, the old ones are in place. They've been there for 100 years, so.
Yeah. So,
I won't pull the old ones out. I'm
No.
just gonna put out what I put in.
again, this is a board's decision. That's why we're discussing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Bruce, do you have any comments, questions?
No, I think I understand the issues. I guess I'm leaning towards having the blocks taken out and reapply according to the path.
Rika? Thoughts, comments,
I
questions?
have a lot of thoughts. Yeah, this is the second one tonight, so it's
I know.
kind of sad to see this. But, yeah, I think taken out,
Mm-hmm,
go back in.
yeah.
I don't have any comments on this one.
So it is the board's decision on what avenue you guys want to go down. I understand, I see Jeff's perspective.
I do too.
I see both sides, but it really, in the end, is your decision. I was
We
also,
also can continue one more meeting and, when the other two board members are here too, so that they can voice their opinion.
we could also do another sidewalk. I mean, I don't
Yep.
assume
Yeah,
Mr.
be
Alpanis
fine,
would be
totally
opposed to that,
fine.
where we could actually
Anytime.
go and physically look at the
I'd like to
granite.
see some pictures. I mean, I just have a site plan here.
Okay,
She's gonna set up another site walk.
if you guys want to do a sidewalk, we can easily go and look specifically at that area. I don't think that should be a problem.
Not at all, not at all, anytime, that's fine, totally fine.
Before any real commitment is made. I think that's a good avenue to go down to, because I haven't seen the property recently either, so I think that I would like to get a good glimpse of it first before a decision is actually made.
Seeing more of the focus is on that wall right now, can I continue finishing these plantings or doing any of these, getting this
do the
stuff, because there's really nothing, you know what I mean, there's nothing major that's else to be done here.
Can you maybe?
Well, it depends on if you continue the planting, then it's gonna inhibit the removal of the blocks, if that's what the board decides, because you're putting trees in, all right?
Yeah, well, where the trees are going, it probably wouldn't affect the trees, and where the evergreens are going, that's probably, but I could always wait on those, you know? I don't know if the wall will be holding this project up. I thought, you know, what I mean? Are they two separate?
The walls, hold
What he's talking about is
is the planting.
the planting, and then right by his house, he's
Right.
putting a
The patio.
patio.
finishing.
Well, they would hold the paver patio up, because you have a stop work order
Mhm.
till we agree on an order of conditions,
if that's what you guys want, yes.
if that's what the board wants.
I would like also to see what plants are being added to the current,
He put it in the back.
Yeah,
no, like he said, then, he said before, then some of these are already there.
yeah, the trees that are, the
Yes.
trees.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, are they 3 trees now, or are there 1 tree and you're adding
What-
2? And
They're on this one.
What he submitted is what he would be planting.
Correct.
It does not include what is currently on the property.
But this plan,
Okay, but that's not what he
this
said.
plan does show the trees, the first plan.
Okay.
Yeah, so what he submitted is what he was proposing to plant. It doesn't include what
Okay.
is currently
This
there.
plan,
So
is-
these are additions that
Yeah,
you
this-
already have.
Yeah.
this other plan is where he's adding. This plan is his existing pine trees and stuff he has.
So, Rika, there's 13 additional that he's putting in. If you
Okay.
count from A to I,
Right.
comes out to 13.
They're actually
That's
Oh,
additional.
more, it's more
No.
plants than that.
more than
Well,
that.
what he's
Yeah.
written down here,
What's that?
3 trees.
Yeah, 3 trees, but more bushes and.
12
right.
bushes, 15 or more
So
bushes.
why don't we do a site visit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, and it still can't do, he could, you could start,
Well, do you guys agree on the planting plan? Because
Sure,
if
I
you
do
agree
too.
on the planting plan, I would give him the go-ahead to start planting
because
because
he has a
we're
6
running
month
out of time.
time. He has a 6-month period to complete the planting, but it has to live 2 years afterwards, otherwise it has to be redone. That's normal wetland procedures. You know, every 2 years you get an inspection of it.
The patio, behind the house?
Patio would have to wait till, because that's on the enforcement order.
Okay.
So item B, no work on the rest of the property can continue until the granite blocks are removed along bank of Lake Massapog.
Till we decide.
Right.
Right now, we'll allow them to start the planting plan to get it in, because you want to get it in before the hot summer.
Yeah.
All right, so that, you know, because he's gonna have to continuously water it. But the other work would have to wait till we decide on the wall.
What's the other work?
He's gotta finish the top patio
Okay.
and face the walls and
So-
everything,
Construction work.
construction work.
Yeah, just the top paver patio.
Okay, understood.
Is the board fine with that? I mean, do we do the site visit? Is we fine to let him start the planting?
Is section B and D grass now, or is it,
No, it's all dirt.
It's dirt, yeah.
I wouldn't see any reason to hold that up, so.
Right. Right, the only thing I was worried about was the trees for the lifting area, but
The grass I couldn't put in yet, not until the patio goes in.
Till the patio's
Yeah,
done.
the patio's gotta go in first, so.
so let's look at getting this planting plan up to date. Finish it off, and
it
then,
is up to date.
It's done.
we'll get it done. He wants to finish it.
Oh, so you're saying
Plant.
to
Yeah.
move forward with planting?
Allow
With the
the
planting.
plant, that's what I'm
Allow the
asking.
plants, okay.
I'm looking for a motion to allow the planting,
Yeah.
and we'll do a site visit, and then we'll come back and discuss about the granite blocks. Are we fine with that?
Yeah.
Just,
I just have one quick question for Emily. I mean, I'm not familiar with all these plants. Are you,
And
all this,
Yes,
Yeah.
I briefly looked at it. Who's hitting the mic?
Yeah, they weren't,
Yes, all the bushes and the perennial ground cover is native to the area.
yeah.
And is a shade. Shade, sun type of plant that would do
Yeah.
just fine in the property.
And the grape birches should do all right as long as he keeps them watered during the whole.
everything I've put in so far seemed to have taken this year, so it seems, they seem to be starting to really grow, so I've been pretty lucky.
So we need a motion,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to allow the starting of the plantings at 22 Massapog Road as laid out in the plans that were provided this evening.
I'll second that.
And that's, and the
All in
site visit? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So let's decide on a site visit. I will, probably will not be here this weekend, but I think any night or day next week, I'm open.
Next week, or do you have a busy schedule?
Flexible, whatever works, you know what I mean? I can make it happen,
Okay.
whatever you want.
I can't make it, can you guys take some pictures?
Mhm.
Thank you.
So I will communicate with you and I will communicate with them.
Perfect.
And we will figure out a date and time. Sound good?
Perfect. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, thanks, have a good night.
You have the motion to continue the
Oh,
hearing.
yeah, I need a motion to continue to the
Okay.
28th.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to continue 222 Massapog Road, map 32-0, DEP 39-1020 to May 28th.
May 28th,
May
correct.
28th.
Do I have a
Second
second?
that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it's approved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Commission determination, 17 Chestnut Road, map 8, parcel 78-0, removal of double pine trees.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Yep.
Okay, so this is a retroactive filing for a commission determination. The homeowners reached out to me a couple weeks ago, and we're very, very concerned with this pine tree. As you can see on the screen, the last strong wind we got, it uprooted the base, and it was just leaning on a couple branches. So they were really panicked and wanted to get it removed ASAP. So I said, I'm gonna give you the permission to go ahead and get it removed, and I will talk with the commission and get it approved at our next meeting. So now we are here. So the tree was removed. There's about 2 to 3 feet of the stump left over. I drive by every day, and the roots sag back down, so it's fine. They had a crane sit on the driveway, which is right here, the corner of the photo, and removed it without disturbing the wetlands.
Where does it sit with respect to the wetlands? Like 20 feet, 50 feet? or how much?
No, it's like in the wetlands,
it's in there,
see?
Oh, I see.
That's from the beavers.
So usually this area is a little bit more dry. It doesn't really have any species of wetlands right now, but it is been wet the past couple years because of beaver activity. So they wanted to make sure they were doing it the correct direction.
So you just need a motion now.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve 17 Chestnut Road, map 8, parcel 78-0, for the removal of a double pine tree.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Opposed? Approved. Next one on the agenda, 8 Paddock Road, map 16, parcel 37-0, removal of 4 trees and pruning of a few trees.
Do you wanna come up and state your project and everything?
Yes, we had some damage to the pool that we had, a 15-foot round pool. So we've taken the pool down and we want to expand it to 12 by 20. And there's trees that are dropping branches and junk into the pool. So we want to trim branch there, and we have more trees next to the driveway that have fallen and did damage to our automobiles. And in the backyard, there's 4 trees we want removed, one of which is rotted. And we'd like to have more sun space over the pool.
So that's tree 1, that's rotted, tree 2, 3, and 4.
Did you see it?
Yep, I went out on site, within the 50-foot buffer. I didn't go out and measure it exactly, but, and then the pool, he's having the same company that's doing the trees. Slight elevation change in the backyard, but pretty much it's gonna put some sand on the bottom, but it's an above-ground pool, so no intense earthwork will be done.
Any questions?
I did get a notice in the email today about where the septic system is in relationship to the house, so I they wanted a site plan, and I have a kind of a 40-year-old septic system, if you want to look at it.
Is it, I guess,
Is it
my
under
only
the
question
pool?
would be, is it near the pool, or would it be harmed by any tree? Is it like in the front yard?
The septic's in the front yard, the
Yeah.
pool's in the back.
Yeah. Yeah, so we don't have a problem with that, as, you know, Board of Health looks at that, so.
All right, so do I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the removal of 4 trees and trimming of a few more, is that?
Yep.
Okay.
And then-
An expansion of above,
So, yeah, so this one and this
Okay.
one.
Oh, it's both, okay.
Yep.
8 Paddock Road, map 16, parcel 37-0.
You did that.
do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Do you wanna, here, say the motion again, so it's
Okay.
correct?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the removal of 4 trees, prune a few other trees, and expand the existing above-ground pool to a 120 square foot level and releveling of the yard.
Have a second again?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you.
All set, thank you.
Thank you.
Next one of violations, 38 Elm Street.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
So,
State your name and address, please.
Rick DeBay, 38 Elm Street.
I received a complaint of the work that was being done in the parking lot, so per any complaint near wetland resource areas, we have to follow up.
Yep, understood. I didn't have any idea there was really, we were doing anything wrong. I thought we were just cleaning up the pavement, I mean, not the pavement, the parking lot. We pulled debris out of the woods, we put barrels, tires, they're still all on the site that you guys can see. We stopped, we did some, whatever, the crush and run dirt back down, and that's about all we did. We did some pruning, get rid of leaves, and then was stopped.
I just wanted to double check to make sure it wasn't anything over the limit of the parking lot.
Yeah, no, we didn't really, we hired a guy, kind of cleaned the whole thing up and cleaned up from the plowing during the winter. It kind of made a little mess there. You're welcome to go check it out, see what's there.
Do you guys want me to go check it out? I mean, I drove by because I was in the
I drove
area.
by it. This is the old Fleur de Lis,
You're for Lee?
yeah, the parking lot.
I will say, I definitely noticed that I was not severely concerned, because when I did go out, I was out in that area yesterday.
Yeah.
When I looked, it really did just look like you guys just cleaned
We
up
just generally
the
were just
area.
trying to make it look better.
Yeah.
Should they pull out the dead trees along the edge?
Well, that's what I was wondering. We stopped, and there was just crap in that woods from 100 years of throwing away.
If they pulled out the dead trees, it would improve the wetlands behind it.
Yeah.
My understanding is the Wetlands Protection Act allows for general maintenance
Yes.
of stuff without
Yes,
some commission's
Yes.
determination, right?
Yeah,
but it would look better if you pulled all the dead trees out and everything, and it would improve the wetlands around the parking lot.
to your point, the only reason I followed up with it is because I got a few complaints, so.
Understood. So I guess where I was going with that is, if he wanted to pull the trees out, would he even need approval from this board? Because that's just general maintenance of his property, right?
Well, he'd get called on if he comes in for a direct determination, pays the $25. It's much easier when they call, and he can already have the determination in his hand.
Yeah.
And when they call us, we say, yeah, he's all set.
So,
For $25, it's,
Yeah,
a lot less headaches.
money well spent.
unfortunately, there's eyes everywhere in that area.
No, it would just, it would look better if you pulled the dead
Oh,
trees
yeah,
out
no.
that you pushed back. I mean, I know,
Yeah,
I'm in that area every week too.
But you'd have to leave the stumps though, right?
It's,
just-
they're
It's just dead
they're already,
Just debris.
they're already laying down, it's debris.
yeah, it's
debris
just
on the
crap
back
from
lawn
100
edge.
years of trash there.
So it makes it look worse, actually, than,
Yeah. Yeah, if you guys are
Then
all in
it- then
favor
it
to
is.
let him
Yep.
continue what he was
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah, I want it cleaned up.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We
I
need-
do too. I hate looking at it.
we should
Is there
open
anything
the
to
door.
approve?
No, there's no approval, it just, we had to,
You just can't go cutting trees.
No,
They-
not
if
gonna
you-
cut
If
nothing.
you've got a dead tree there that you need to cut down, you gotta come and see Emily for
Yeah.
a direct
I
determination.
ain't doing nothing.
Lee,
Big
Maybe
enough.
$25.
yeah, at least now if someone calls it in, at least they know it's all taken care of.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, sounds great.
But yeah, you can
Thank
go
you.
ahead, continue
Alright,
cleaning
thank
what you're
you.
doing. Perfect.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, next violation, 290 Massapog Road.
They're on a
That's a
road.
busy road.
That's,
No,
they're on a road.
trust me, you
Been a
don't have
busy
to deal
road
with it
for a
every single
long
day.
time.
Hold on a second.
Yep.
Starting to think that's the bad part of town.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so I got another complaint call twice, one 2 weeks ago, one recently. Unfortunately, it was on Friday each day. Figured they'd pick up on that. That 290 Massapog was cutting trees down. That's the extent of the complaint. So I sent a violation letter saying that there was a complaint done with trees cutting, maybe possible earthwork disturbing the stream in the lake. I don't know. I drove by, you can't see, it's old Topline Granite House, so they have an 8-foot, that's an exaggeration, but it's very high wall, you can't really look into their yard, so. I don't know, do you guys want me to follow up with him again?
Yeah.
What do you guys think? That was the complaint, that there were some trees cut down.
And you sent a complaint and nobody even acknowledged, called you, or, yeah, then follow up.
You want me to follow up? Yeah?
The
what do you
the
guys-
complainant never,
Well, originally, they didn't even put an address. They said they were just the neighbors, so I assume it's 290. I better hope my assumption's correct. But they were the house right on the edge of the Dunstable line. So looking at a map, if you look at the house on the edge of the Dunstable line on Massapog, the
And
house in
then
Tyngsborough,
house.
that's his neighbor, is 290.
and they didn't respond.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, I think we should follow up.
Yes, how do you feel?
No, I wanted to look at it. You couldn't see it, Emily, from the road?
You can't, it's a huge retaining wall across his whole front yard, and it's brick. Have you ever driven down there?
Is that
Yeah,
Ramos?
yes.
You know, you need to go look at it, absolutely.
Okay, well, I can try to get in touch with him. I'll send another violation, with maybe a little bit aggressive text.
I know we approved a lot of tree cutting in the back because of the house.
Yes, I looked back at the
Remember that?
original plan. I
approve
did
that.
look.
But now you're talking on the side, because on that right-hand side, there's a whole valley that goes down to a water runoff.
Oh, it's a stream, yes.
Stream, yeah, that comes from up higher. And that's right on the Tyngsborough, Dunstable, and there's actually a little bridge there, right
Yeah.
before that property
The
line.
road narrows,
Yeah, right down to this little bridge,
and there's no houses on that other whole side of the
yeah.
road.
Okay, I'll follow up.
A vehicle,
you.
you can drive a vehicle over the bridge?
Yes,
Oh, yeah, it's a road bridge, yes.
It's a road bridge, yeah.
It's basically one lane, pretty much.
Wow.
Okay,
All right, I wanted to write a comment.
approval of minutes, April 23rd, 2024. Do you have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve it.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
New business. Topics the chairman did not reasonably anticipate would be discussed. Triple Crown Estate Inspection Report Response Letter.
It's in your packets. I sent out an inspection report, because me and Ed were walking the property, which is typical duty. And there was a lot of boo-boos happening on the project, so I sent an inspection letter, and they replied, which is also in your packets, that everything was done per what I asked for. I have not since walked the property. I briefly walked the property. There are new silt sacks in the catch basins. I have not looked over by the wetland area. I'm probably planning on going out on Friday.
So before we approve this, you should go back out and look at it and,
Well, there's nothing for you
Not
to
to approve,
approve.
She's just letting you know what was going on and their response, and
FYI,
what we had to do.
I'm ready to bring it back.
so
So we will go back out.
you're going to make sure it was done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go out this Friday, but I just wanted to let you guys know.
Okay.
Yeah, so they replied back with a detailed response and listed the items that they did below in response to what I called out.
Next item is National Grid Utility Maintenance Notification.
This was sent to the commission. National Grid is doing utility maintenance. There's no need for them to file a notice of intent because it's part of utility work. But it was sent to you guys, the commission. Feel free to read it over. If you guys have any questions, please let me know and I will reach back out.
They're pruning trees.
Pruning trees, and then
Yeah.
there's, PT will be inspection.
Come down forward.
Yeah, probably that's the only way we can get some trees pruned.
Okay, next item on the agenda, Ty and Bond Utility Maintenance Notification, Forest Park Ave, Mascuppick Trail, and Malvern Ave.
This is part of Jacob Water Supply's, water line work. Again, it's because it's, a utility in the road. They're not disturbing anything, but they will ensure best management practices when they go to do all the work. But because they don't have to file a notice of intent, they also wanted to send a maintenance notification. This is much more detailed than the National Grid one. It includes the project description. It includes all engineered spec site plans. So if you guys want to look it over, if you have any questions, again, let me know. I can reach out to Ty and Bond with any comments, questions, or concerns.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, Long Pond Nuisance Aquatic Vegetation Treatment, May 15th, 2024.
This was just issued to me. I figured I would share it if there's anybody watching. I know Long Pond residents probably already know about it, but figured I would share the news with the rest of you guys.
Next item on the agenda, 26 Cummings Road, Beaver Dam.
So this was brought up to me yesterday. Where is it? So, oh, no. They applied for a beaver permit. Me and Carrie went out yesterday to take a look. It is much more than just beaver, so they wanted to trap the beavers and then breach a dam. So this is the on-ramp to Route 3, and this is Pytonic's business. This area, here, I guess I go to a
It
bit.
goes behind, well, it was
This
Dana
area
Hall.
is a fire pond, so usually it's full.
Okay.
Recently, it has not been full because of the beavers. So this is the first dam, which is much smaller. And that is the second dam. So I have a close-up photo, but,
So they should clean it up then?
so they applied for they're in the application process with the Board of Health to get their 10-day emergency permit to trap the beavers. I talked to the guy today. I basically said that with your help, since you're our beaver whiz, that we'd come up with a list on how that they should go about to breaching it, because after the 10-day emergency, their 10-day permit for trapping the beavers is up, I will issue a 30-day emergency cert to allow them the time to breach it. And I kind of explained it to him by giving him 30 days, it allows for a lot more work. So the fact that we were walking out into this fire pond says a lot. It's very dry, and they were very concerned because if there was a fire, they would have no water.
What happens to the beavers?
What's that?
What happens to the beavers once they catch
They
it?
go to beaver heaven.
What happened if there's babies
Unfortunately.
there?
So that's what the dam looks like. That's kind of a close-up photo. So it's definitely,
They go to the beaver orphanage.
yes.
I hope so.
Well,
No.
This is
Can
why
they
I
just
I
clean it
prefer
up
to
and
wait
not
till the
catch the
fall.
beavers and clean it up?
No,
like
because
every
if
year?
they go to breach the dam, one, the beavers are gonna get mad,
And
and they're
they
gonna
just-
attack them. Or two, they're gonna breach it, and the beaver's gonna be like, you did all that work for nothing, and they're just gonna fix
You
it.
could tear that up dam out with a piece of equipment and tomorrow, tomorrow morning it'd be all built back again.
They're fast workers.
Very smart.
Maybe I should hire them.
Very smart, very productive.
Would they actually will they attack
They
someone
can.
who's trying to take their?
Really?
They're
Yeah.
aggressive, yeah, if they
they're
wanna be.
protecting young ones or their territory,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
they
what
will.
I'm worried about, the young ones being in there, you know?
And
They are
then,
gonna go beaver heaven in the future, I guess.
how,
There's really, the laws are the laws, and there's really no good way to go about it. I hate to say it,
would that be dismantled by hand?
yes.
It would have, you could not get a machine down there, right?
No. So, yeah, that's why I wanted
And
to talk to you.
that's a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
How do you trap them, Eddie?
Well, I'm not gonna get into it on here.
Okay.
Yeah, let's not talk, otherwise I'm not gonna speak
So
to
I'll
them.
talk
There's
to you,
different rules for emergency and other,
I'll talk to you tomorrow, and you can give me a list on how they should approach
okay?
breaching it. Are you guys okay with issuing an emergency cert to fix the issue at hand?
The tough part, it's a fire pond, and that's the water over
Which we
there.
need.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Yes.
If this was just a wetland, then I don't think they would have had a problem with it, but because it's a fire pond, and I will say it has, because I go home this way and I can, up on the overhead, on the bridge, you can kind of look down and see it. It's been this low for a substantial amount of time. So
Putting a lot of work at those beavers.
they're concerned that if there was a fire,
Okay.
Just a bad time of year, but.
yes, that's not here nor there.
Right.
Because of the babies?
These issues are gonna get worse now, obviously, right? Beaver issues? Because are they coming out of winter hibernation?
Well, all your 2-year-olds and stuff have to leave the nest, because if the 1 or 2 have to leave the nest because of, babies are born. But usually, the males have to leave first, because no matter what, if the area's not big enough to support all the beavers, they have to find new territory. That's the problem. And they need water. They store their food pile in the winter under the water. They use the water to transport their food pile, their logs to the dams, everything. And that's why every log is usually peeled. They've eaten the bark off of it. It's all they eat, is the bark and some vegetation, but yeah.
Want to move on to old business?
Yep.
All right. Send the beavers
Old
to heaven.
business, Trail Day update.
So for those of you that weren't there, we installed a kiosk, as you can see up on the screen.
Nice.
We've done the fence side of the parking lot, along with the rest of the holes for the rest of the fence. So this is what it looks like. Thank you to Tyngsborough National Honor Society for coming out. The girls worked very hard, and they cleaned all the invasives in both the right side and the left side, along with Jeff's help and Rob's help. And we made a very big brush pile for the highway department to come clean up. So if you're in the area and you want to take a drive down it, they did a great job, so I'm very proud of them.
It's amazing.
And they put, and a few of them,
Just incredible.
and a few of them stayed till after 4 o'clock, while I was there till 5:30. And they stayed till after 4 o'clock doing it.
Yep, and then
So
we
they-
had,
They put in 110% effort.
yep.
Can't say enough about the
And
effort
then-
they put in.
Yeah, and then just some trash, very minor, just typical. I'm
That's
pretty
not
sure, I
bad at
think,
all.
I think they picked the trash up on the railroad tracks too, so. By all means, they were working very hard, but yes, so that was Trail Day,
And they probably all got poison ivy.
yes.
That's what I was gonna mention, Emily mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, poison sumac too, yeah. Okay, and then health fair,
This is cute.
Okay, next item on the agenda is health fair.
so also that same weekend, I was doing double duty at the health fair. In the back of your packets is an example, is the brochure I created for the health fair about attracting pollinators to your garden. If you want to keep it and take it home, feel free. If not, give it back to me, and I'm gonna post them in town hall, so they're open to other residents. Yep, people really liked it, thought it was a very springy type of thing, so.
Scare them. Wish I had it yesterday.
And the last thing,
No, it's good for gardeners.
Voss signage
Huge garden,
proof
but you
for
can't
our
have
signs.
pollinate 'cause you
Yeah.
can't have bees.
and then the last thing, our Voss signs are in production, but I wanted to show you what the proofs were. So these are the new conservation land signs that we'll be installing on our properties. I have about 25 ordered for now. Obviously, now that they're on file, we can order as many. So this is what the conservation land one looks like. So no trapping, no fires, no motorized vehicles. Please respect the area with a nice green background. And then these are just don't feed the ducks, which will be installed by our common area trafficked on the lakes, because we kind of have a problem. So we don't feed the ducks and then don't feed other wildlife. And the reasons why. Bless you. No dumping signs to clean up your trash, to be respectful, and then just your typical don't disturb plant and animal wildlife. So these will be new signs that will be getting installed throughout our conservation lands and recreation areas as reminders.
No, I have a question. I had gone in to see you. Did you get any response about the railroad ties along the track?
I reached out to the environmental consultant and I haven't heard back yet.
Okay, so I had reached out to Emily, because I'm sick of looking at the mess on Middlesex Road of all the railroad ties, the metal
Aye.
banding. I've gone down and cleaned up all around the sign where the baseball, the softball, we put our signs up down at the bottom across from Sullivan's Ice Cream.
We clean up Ting Road,
Yeah, it's kind of a mess, so.
like even Innovation too, we clean up a lot too.
But my issue there is the railroad ties have creosote in them, correct?
Usually,
And
yes.
I don't wanna see them end up in the river. And it's very easy for kids to get down there and start heaving them in. They've been left for a long time. The old ones they pull out, they don't take them away. They're just getting,
Usually if they have tires, because
well,
I had to clean up a lot.
so
And
I
now,
would,
yeah,
I
you
would,
bring it to MTV, like, I don't know if like these places that would take it to dispose the tires. So if anyone takes them out and wants to know how to dispose a tire, can bring them to a tire shop, pay like $5 and they will take it.
but it's about the railroad ties, what I was looking at. It's kind of a mess. And that's where, our town, we have our bridge there. We see it. It's every day in our face. So I did reach out to Emily, and she has been looking into figuring out,
How to contact.
how to
Pan Am
contact.
Railroad.
It's Pan Am, actually,
Yeah, Pan Am.
Pan Am. So that was the thing that I wanted.
Anything else, any new,
Rob?
do I get a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.